How did I turn my camera around? Nelly. Nelly's
Okay.
licking her feet. Hey,
So,
Nels.
so we're now live on YouTube, I hope,
Okay, hi
I
everybody.
think. So, yeah, I'm live on YouTube. You are live on you're live on Instagram, I
I'm
believe.
live on Instagram, yeah.
Yes, I hope this is live. Let me just check. Yeah, okay, yeah, I am.
You're
I was
live on
just
Instagram, I believe.
there's a bit of a delay, so I was just checking this. So
Okay,
this is
it's
the first
gonna
time
do
live.
it. Yeah.
So there's yeah, okay, it's gone now. It's gone now. So yeah, so just yeah, just to give a bit of an introduction, this is our first ever live video. Starters, could be our last. It may be a complete unmitigated disaster because, yeah, any hems and haws or stumbling over ourselves, or if the power goes out, or if there's any kind of interruption, or if I go into a sneezing fit, it's all going to be caught on here. So,
If the power goes out,
if the power goes out, you never know.
it never
Stranger
goes
things
out.
have
Well,
happened.
it never goes out.
Yeah, well, hopefully it won't go out tonight
Well,
either.
hopefully it's not like every time we watch Pirates of the Caribbean, usually like the neighbor's tree falls over and like we're climbing over bits of wood at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh my God, should we like tell that story or those stories like that we have never have
What?
successfully been able to watch any Pirates of the Caribbean movie from start to finish?
It's like always these interruptions. It usually involves horticulture because it's usually like either the neighbor's tree falls over or like my father walked in one day and he was like, "Oh yeah, could you like help me lift a like a was it a hedge or something over the
It was the
garden?"
hedge, yeah.
Yeah, over the backyard fence and yeah, it was just a bit but anyways, it looks like I don't know if anybody's on my Instagram, so I'm just gonna hop off here.
All right, grand.
In live
Sound like we
video.
most
So
yeah. So the live chat is open as well if anyone wants to chip in or say hello. The reason we're doing this, I suppose, to keep it a bit concise. Well, I say that now, but probably be a bit long-winded. Is that so? We posted a video earlier on today that we recorded last weekend of donuts and their positions, which was in response to the 22-page document, Johnny Depp's response, which was made publicly available at the time. So I was only the 22-page one minus the exhibits. It made reference to the exhibits, but the actual exhibits weren't there. So we just made a video based on what was publicly available. Since then, the exhibits have become available, and actually the link to the full document, 339 pages, I think to be exact, are available. Yeah, it's in the link below. So we're just kind of going to go through here. So on the live chats, Cleodora Mare, hello. Hello to
hi
you.
Cleodora. Thanks for
Thanks
yeah,
for
I
tuning
follow
in.
you on Twitter, I think.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. At least I think I do. If I don't, yeah, I do. I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I'm trying to work out how do you go live on Twitter? Because trying to
Pretty much Periscope now. So if you
oh
yeah, if you go as if to just post a status on Twitter, and I
oh
think
go
just a
live.
little there
Okay.
you go. That's the one.
Some of I don't know what do we call this?
This one I'm calling this of dollars and no wait, dollars to donuts live. Sorry, there's too many donut based puns. We were initially going to call the other video, what was it? Go nuts for donuts, something
Oh, I
like
should
that.
have called it that. Hey, anybody on Twitter? Um, yeah, dollars to donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't
to
know. Like, I love that book of Mice and Men. It's nice and dark and depressing. So I kind of figured that,
get the
yeah,
tended donuts.
it was a bit more appropriate because that wasn't an easy video for me to edit. Like, I was actually sitting,
Mhm.
like procrastinating, like fucking around with the cats for like an hour or two today because I was going, I don't even want to have to
Yeah.
go online and Google those photos of Johnny Depp's injured finger and all those horrible bruises.
I
I don't want to.
saw that photo. Jeez, that was gross. Like, I haven't seen that particular one. I mean, that was really
The
graphic.
surgical one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, I've seen it. Unfortunately, it's well, it's a kind of a needs to and needs must I suppose because
Yep.
everybody's retweeting these photographs just out of support for him. Hey everybody, just out of support for him, but it's like all over my timeline, and it's really really like difficult to look at. So I had to edit these horrible photograph or not edit them, but add them to my video, and it was just a really horrible editing process. So yeah,
Hmm.
because I just yeah, I could not wait to delete them from my phone afterwards. It's when all this is over, I hope I never have to look at them again. Um
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, yeah, you can now delete them from your phone.
yeah. So yeah, that was sad really. So yeah, so since we made that video, we really made it on Saturday night, so we decided to um not mention, like you said, all the other things that were coming to light until it was kind of officially publicly available until everybody had seen it. So I suppose now 339 pages is technically more. Um
Yeah.
so I mean, where do we even begin?
Oh dear. Yeah. So we kind of compiled like a few screenshots that we would kind of want to go through. So again, this is live, so there's going to be a few glitches. So I'm going to try and share uh, this. So fingers crossed, Cleta Romero. It's okay, Cleodora Mare. It's very difficult to have these photos all over my timeline too. Yeah, that's another thing is because it's not even just if it's someone putting a video together, but like even if you hop onto Twitter, you see those photos plastered, no pun intended, all over the place, and even just the descriptions. I imagine with Amber's response coming out, and I'm sure Johnny will respond to that as well. But I'm sure more details are going to come out, so it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But like you said yourself, Rachel, it's a needs must.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I mean, just going upon what we now see in his full kind of response, his whole 339 pages, I can see I can see her kind of really grappling. I mean, he did an excellent response firstly in his introduction because her introduction began with like 50 pages of complete and utter waffle about why the case should not be held in Virginia and therefore it should be dismissed. Um,
Yeah,
and like I mean, it actually got to the point where she was arguing, yeah, we couldn't have the trial in Virginia in a court in Virginia because all the furniture he threw at me was in LA. She was like, essentially saying that. I mean, like that's complete and utter bunkum. Um, so I mean, like, yeah, I don't really see why you would need to haul the glass bottle you're claiming he threw at her, all the way across the country to Virginia as evidence. And she was kind of, oh, but the jury might need to visit. Um, sorry, I'm just scrolling down my Twitter here. I didn't know that. Oh wow, this is such a new thing for me. Oh hey everybody. Yeah, so
to
um,
visit the potential scene of the
right.
apartments one,
Yeah.
1 to 5, right?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't even happen in murder cases a lot of the time, so I can't see why a jury would need to go
Very
to East
it's very
Columbia building.
rare.
Yeah, so I mean, she was coming up with all this kind of nonsense, and at the end of the day, from what I understand, is libel law in Virginia. If the piece of libel was published in Virginia, therefore it is libel in Virginia. It should stand trial legal action should all happen in Virginia. That's from what I understand. Um, and Johnny's lawyers, they made a very good argument from what I understand. Like they cited lots of other uh cases and in their argument, but they were very fair to well, they were polite, they were civil, they were very to the point. They didn't go off waffling about making crazy excuses about moving furniture around and just like so that was a good introduction. And
Yeah.
so
So to kind of to go back to what you were saying there about about juries visiting the scene during a case. That's only kind of like pertinent in a murder case if the crime scene is kind of still intact. I know we keep rabbiting on about the staircase, but that's actually what the jury did during
the
that
stair
case. But
yeah.
only because like there was still blood spatter all over the place. Like it was still hadn't been fully cleaned up. I mean, that wouldn't. I can't. And again, if there are any legally minded people out there that can correct me, please do. But I can't see how it would be of any benefit for a jury to come along and visit when any mess or broken glass would have been potential broken glass would have been cleaned months, years ago. Heck, even
Yeah.
the police when they came, both times there was nothing found,
Yeah, well,
and
let's
that was another contradictory thing. Not to get
just
too
to
ahead or anything.
no, just to clarify, the staircase, that's the Netflix show you're talking about, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, let's list it as well. I mean, there was no evidence for well, so going back to Johnny's papers, we do have the evidence in the first two cops. The second two cops, it appears that in between the first cops arriving and the second cops arriving, one
Do
of
you want me to throw up? Sorry, just do you want
no,
me to
no, it's
throw up
okay.
the? Okay,
No,
cool.
no, no, just on my train of thought.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so it's okay. So between the first and the second cops arriving, Johnny's neighbor, who's a very good witness, but he's a friend, a neighbor of Johnny's, but he was walking up to his apartment and he did see some spilt wine on the floor outside the penthouse, and Raquel's partner Josh came out and he was like, "Oh, what's with?" And Isaac said, "Well, what's with the spilt wine?" And he said, "Oh, it's been how about donuts? $60." Lol. um, yeah, it's been a rough night, and he wouldn't let Isaac see inside the penthouse, so I don't know what they were doing. But like I said in my video, our video, sorry, that we published earlier on tonight, yeah, there would have been a commotion. I'm sure one of the other neighbors might have heard it. If we're to believe Amber's claims that Johnny Depp was running up and down the corridor, smashing shit all around the place, people would have heard it. Um, so it just
Mm-hmm.
looks like it sounds to me after the first set of cops left, they rang Amber's lawyer, had a discussion as to what to do, and then they proceeded to, I don't know, fuck wine all over the floor and shake the apartment up a little bit. That's what it
Um,
sounds to me.
Yeah, Cleodora Mayer just said in the chat there wasn't any evidence 3 years ago. There was nothing to see. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, just yeah, totally agree. Like there was nothing there on the night, so why would yeah? It's just a ridiculous excuse if that's what was being used. Well, one of the excuses, or in our opinion, excuses. Or we have to be very careful about how we word these things, I guess.
The actor Brian has just joined on Twitter. Is that some That's not the Brian, is it, by any chance?
Uh, I don't know. Is it at that Brian fella?
No, no, the actor Brian, unless Brian has
Oh, is it on
forwarded.
Periscope?
Uh, I guess it would be if it's on Twitter Live. Yeah,
Well, regardless,
whoever it is. Hi.
whatever Brian it may be, thanks for joining.
Yep. Oh shit, 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 shit. Ah, I'll drop my phone.
Oh no,
Um,
it's the
so
no
yeah.
Brian's club, but you allowed Brian McPherson. We're allowed one.
Oh my God.
Sorry, sorry.
Sorry. Hey, Brian. Okay, it is him.
This is why we don't do live videos because we just tend to go off on tangents and make
Yeah.
ridiculous references. I mean, you have no idea how much stuff we chop out of our pre-prepared videos, but again, we just felt we wanted to get this out before Amber's response. Amber's response is due in a couple of days, I believe.
I think it's the
So
31st, isn't it, Brian?
I so we
Ah,
kind of we didn't want this to fall through the cracks.
no, no.
Juliet Hasenbar says, "Hi guys, hello
Hey,
Juliet.
hey.
I hope I hope I did not butcher your last name. If I did, I apologize."
Um, yeah, so
Tomorrow, okay. Apparently, according to Juliet, it's tomorrow that the response is due.
yeah, I mean, I do think like the only thing I will say that possibly I could see her lawyers picking holes in is in some parts there's little snippets of depositions. I mean, the security staff at the East Columbia building, they have the entire depositions to our knowledge. There might be more. They have their entire depositions in Johnny's filings, but they only have 1 or 2 pages of Raquel Pennington's. So I don't know. I'm wondering, will Amber's team maybe make a big deal out of that? Or will they just continue to go off on lies or maybe try and make some completely different excuse like she has a mental disorder, she was sick, she was taken advantage of, so therefore she was abused.
Ah, I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah. So
As I mentioned in
who
the original
knows?
video, I imagine they'll want to throw as many roadblocks as possible. So yeah, I guess they could be. I'll be very interested to read or to hear what's in Amber's response.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's going to get like quite nasty, but
Mm.
I mean, I think a lot of fans were concerned that um Amber is going to say, "Oh, yeah, he's in cahoots with the cops, with the security staff." Basically, I think fans are worried that she's going to basically imply that he was paying um everybody off to make a statement in his favor, which like we were talking among ourselves the other day, like that'd be a very risky thing to do because you can't do that without proof.
Yeah, exactly. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of like the old Michael Jackson thing. He's poor. He's poor and broke and needs the money when it suits them. But then he's also has enough money to pay off the entire LAPD and all the staff at the building and such when it suits them as
Yeah.
well.
Brian says I think it's going to become more storytelling from Amber, more outlandish fairy tales.
More
Yeah.
than likely. Juliet Hassenbar raised a good point here. I'm happy her lawyers have so much to read and respond to in such a short time. I never even thought of it like that. I mean, that's like 300 odd pages. That's a lot to respond to
Yeah.
before basically tomorrow.
Yeah, it's that's the thing is old as well. I suppose they probably would have seen it before we did.
Possibly. Oh,
Um
yeah, I've no doubt about that. But still, I imagine the window of time, and maybe Brian can answer this, or maybe anyone here who's legally minded. But as these responses continue, does the window of time get shorter to respond to them, or is it like still the same with each one? So say maybe X amount of weeks or X amount of days. So like say if for
yeah.
some reason Amber's team comes out with a 500 page, uh, does Johnny's team have until the end of June to respond, or does the
I
window get smaller?
Yeah, I think there maybe that's one thing I could actually foresee. I could see them maybe making some excuse that we need more time, just trying to delay it. A bit like, oh, by the way, I don't know if anybody's heard, but in the case against Johnny's ex-lawyers, they have set a trial date. It's for December.
Right.
I believe
Oh, Merry
so.
Christmas.
Bloom are trying to, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the full name of the legal company. Um, but they were trying to set a trial for March. Johnny, I believe, wanted it sooner. So yeah, they basically, I looks like the judge has kind of met both sides halfway and said, nope, it's going to be December.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, Once again, I just scanned that. I've been really busy, really busy tonight. Um,
Yes, you have.
yeah, that's right, Brett. Yeah, so I mean, eventually, of course, the judge will get kind of pissed off and say, no, that's it's then. This is this. You know, he makes a ruling and that's that. But I do think a lot of the time, legal teams do try and hold back,
Hmm.
try and stall it as best as possible. Don't you even dare make a SpongeBob reference.
Just a few more comments on the chat on here. So Juliet says they only have 10 days, and after Amber's response tomorrow, there are no more responses. So I guess.
Oh, that's
So
interesting. Okay, I wouldn't have
uh,
thought that. Wow.
yeah, well, again, like I suppose that's why we ask. I didn't know, so that's
Yeah.
interesting to know. Theodora says, I believe the hardest part to respond to is the jurisdiction part. So I imagine that's the whole of wanting it to struck from Virginia, or
I guess, yeah. Would
yeah,
that be the jurisdiction parts?
I'd imagine so because she was
Yeah.
talking about was as you mentioned earlier, like stuff that happened in LA, and they're
Mm-hmm.
trying it in Virginia. Although no, the actual lawsuits are it's over the op-ed piece she wrote, and that
I
was on the Washington Post, I believe.
I believe so. Yes, it was the Washington Post.
Yeah, a
So
judge has already been assigned. Juliet says,
okay, so hopefully this will start the ball rolling pretty quickly.
hopefully.
And yeah, no, I do think he's getting, I mean, the big most damning part of the evidence I think does come from the staff in the building and the police officers.
Yes.
And I don't know if any of you guys seen the video we made. I uploaded it tonight, but um also I think Sean, Johnny's bodyguard, I assume he will make some sort of testimony. Hi Rahaki, thank you for joining. I do believe he will probably make some sort of testimony, or maybe he's done deposition already. But the fact that he has a background in policing and he took the photographs of Johnny's face, he was the one who insisted. To me, that's very strong and very telling. And
Yeah.
I'm being shouted at from downstairs. I'm just going to ignore it as long as I can.
This is live. This is the beauty of live. Anything can happen and anything can be recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for sure, it's very interesting, and I can't remember if we went into it too in depth in the actual video but
Uh,
yeah, that he insisted in taking photo of Johnny's face, but there
hmm.
doesn't seem to have been any insistence on taking photos of Amber's face at the same time. And
Yeah.
yeah, some of those photos that have come out, just they're really, as Theodora mentioned earlier on, it's very difficult to look at, even just when you go onto your
Hmm.
timeline. It's just like same ones over and over and over, but that's what you have to do to kind of get the story out there.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so apparently there, just looking at my Twitter comments, there was a deposition. Sean has already sat one, and I assume by that Jerry has as well, especially as
Hmm.
God, like I hate talking about this, but Jerry probably knew he wasn't long for this world, so he probably did. And as well, even aside from that, people do tend to sit depositions and give their testimony and their legal statements as soon as they can, just while it's fresh in their memory. So I
Yes.
would imagine Sean and Jerry and everybody involved probably made their statements as early on as possible. I mean, if I were in that situation, any situation I've been in which could potentially involve in some sort of legal recourse, I've always made my statements, even if I'm never ever Needed. Yes, R.I.P. Jerry Judge for sure.
Jerry
Um,
fucking Judge.
Jerry fucking Judge. Um, yeah, he
By the way, whoever designed those Jerry Judge T-shirts that Johnny and the crew are wearing on the Vampires tour, I hope they get released,
I hope so
even,
too.
and just like have the proceeds even just like go to a charity of choice or something. Because I would definitely get one of those.
Me too. Me too. But oh, sorry, Nelly just came up the bed.
Oh, nice.
I'm just hanging out with my little kitty cat. Say hi. She doesn't look impressed. She's usually a little bit more friendly. I'll just can I pan the camera around for people on YouTube? I don't know if they can see.
There she
Hello,
is.
Nelly. Who's that? I don't think she's that impressed. Anyway, this is why we
Yeah.
edit videos that we pre-make. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, to me that was like a huge parts of his testimony that stood out, and of course the most both damning and baffling was the Elon Musk stuff.
So the Elon Musk stuff, I know we have some screeny shotties here of it. So just
What's the thing?
let me
Yeah.
let me see. So Elon Musk.
Should we just go down your list, the stuff that we put together?
Sure, yeah. So I have so that's being shared now. So if you want me to just go back to the start, go to page 1.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I'm on slide 1 now.
Okay.
So this is yeah.
Can everybody see that on the screen? Hello? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, that's I have a test I've got a test feed on my phone. I can see
Hang on.
it.
Paul, I'm on the phone.
Thanks, Cleoda. Yeah, she can
Okay,
see it.
cool. Um,
Uh,
okay, I'm just gonna click. All right, sorry, Lumos. I will turn around there. So, screen sharing. Okay, can you zoom? All right. Yeah, so my first note was whenever I saw this particular page, I
okay, here
said,
we go.
well, IO, you've been seen now on the on the CCTV.
Or AO. Wait, I don't know
AO.
if that's IO or AO. Does he have a twin brother, AO?
Is he name fluid now as well as gender fluid?
Oh my, I suppose we better stay away from that whole thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to. It doesn't really share very well on their phone. Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, so I mean that's not really that damning, I suppose, but it does go to show that these security guys were pretty familiar with everybody that Amber had coming in and out of the building.
Yeah. So that's the first one.
Yeah. Okay, so that witness, sorry, was Corinne Esperanza.
Okay, and
I'm
we're on
gonna
to
try and remember the name of all these witnesses.
okay, so we're on to slide 2, and that's the one. Yeah, on to slide 2.
Okay, it's not appeared to me just yet.
Oh, I hope this has not frozen on us, has it?
Hmm.
Oh dear.
Maybe Nelly started to
So
purr.
what can you? Oh dear, I think we may be facing something. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing for now, just to see what happens. I think we may be facing some technical difficulties.
No.
Uh,
3 more viewers. Who's watching?
okay. Um, yeah, let me just
Yeah,
check here.
Io was the best part. He was so eager to prove it was no one. He was not on them. Yeah.
Okay, okay, we're back. We're back here. that probably won't be able to have a comeback in Hollywood? Question mark.
Johnny,
Well,
or
well,
sorry, what?
he Johnny. Nihal Talwari says that. Well, I suppose that remains to be seen. I mean, he is still a very important character in one of the biggest franchises in modern cinema, the Harry Potter spin-off. So wouldn't
Yeah,
write him
no,
off totally
yeah,
just yet. So I'm just gonna
I
give
don't think
another.
so.
Just gonna take another
I
stab at this screen sharing. Hopefully it'll work this time. No. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Share. Okay, so we'll try this now. We're on page.
see what else is there.
Okay, so we're on page 2. All right. Okay, can you see that now?
It's still the same
So,
page.
oh wait, hold on. What are you looking at exactly?
uh, the screen, it just says the first one. It says one saying AO or IO or
Oh,
AO.
okay. Okay, I thought it was able to Okay, so we're just gonna have to do it this way then. Sorry, it's a bit more primitive. Uh, I suppose that's the thing with going live. Okay, there you go. Can you see that now?
Um, yes.
Okay, so it's Amber, and let's pause right. Let me back up and pause for a moment. Oh, that's AO, or what's her name? I'm
Yep.
sorry, who? It's like IO or AO. Yep.
So this is once
That,
again, this is from Esperanza as well, I believe. Yeah, you described, let's see, AOI. Okay, so you described earlier a point in time on Friday, May 27th, where Amber had some sort of cut or mark on her face, right? Right. Where was that located? On her right eye and cheek. So that was on the day she went to court, I believe. But prior to that, she had not seen anything on Amber's cheek. So basically, Johnny vacated the country May 27th? May 20th. What am I talking about? Sorry, May 23rd or May 22nd, the day after.
May 20, it says this Friday, May 27th.
Yeah, that was the court day, I believe,
Okay.
from what I understand. So he at this point he had left the country. So that was she went in to get a temporary restraining order. He had left the country, so he was not in the position to challenge that temporary restraining order because he was out of the country.
Uh-huh.
So she could have the paparazzi trailing in and out of the courthouse after her, um, with this, these like painted on bruises, this mark on her face wherever she got it from, and yeah, she could basically claim that I'm a beaten woman, I'm a battered woman. Like he would not really be in the position to question it. And we now know that his lawyers were not giving him the best advice. They were telling him to keep quiet about it and not say anything. And we now know why.
Hmm. Yes.
And that's
Yes,
on
absolutely.
I don't know if we've added this to the slide, but that's another interesting thing. The security guys in the building, they most of them have been questioned about Johnny's lawyers and basically loosely asked in the vaguest possible sense their opinion of the lawyers, and I think one or two of them had said that they just give the overall impression in their testimony that the lawyers for Jake Bloom were not very consistent, or what's the word, in depth. They could have asked him for more evidence. They could have maybe been a little bit stronger with their questioning.
Mhm. So Cleodora just clarified that Johnny left on the 22nd of May, according to
Yeah,
staff.
yeah.
Thanks.
So thank you, Clear Door. Um, hi, Blue Eyes Gypsy, too on Twitter. Um, yeah. So I did find that very very interesting. So do you want to move on, Kevin, for you
Yep.
get the next slide up?
So this is enter Elon Musk, the computery
Mm-hmm.
guy.
The computery guy.
Oh
Oh,
my.
yeah. So
Don't
Wait,
touch me.
yeah, so there's this video like we're kind of obsessed with on YouTube, and Kevin retweeted it to me with the hashtag justice for Johnny Depp the other day, and I was like, what the hell? It was like what's the name of it again, Kevin?
It's called "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared."
Don't hug me, I'm
Uh,
scared. It's kind of like
yeah,
Avenue Q. It's pretty funny, but
yeah. It's like Avenue Q meets Too Many Cooks.
yeah, so it's kind of really, yeah, it's pretty funny, but there was like one episode that's like, yeah, this computer talking and it's like, my name is something, I am a computery guy. So I was like, my name is Elon, I am a computery guy.
Oh my. So
Anyway, so yeah.
so this was in May when he basically started. So he was he was coming on the scene when Johnny was obviously out of the country, and this was around the same time Amber was walking around with marks on her face, even though the only guy she was hanging around with reportedly was Mr. Musk.
Mr. Musk. Yeah, and that to me, that was the most distressing part of the evidence because I think if we go through the slides, one of them also says that it was known to the staff at the building that he'd been injured, he wasn't well, he was out of the country, and one of them even went as far as to say he felt uncomfortable working there and letting this man in and out, just basically obviously spend the night with a married woman. I mean, unless Elon's going to start claiming in Amber's response that oh no, Elon slept in the corridor, like he slept in the elevator all night. He didn't go near me.
Yeah.
um, so that was really really damning, and very very distressing to hear this. Per Johnny's like he's injured, he's sick fighting MRSA, and he's working his ass off trying to get to provide making films to provide for the lifestyle to which Amber is accomplished,
Yeah.
or has come used
Accustomed
to,
to.
accustomed to. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, working so hard to find for the lifestyle that Amber is accustomed to,
And she's
and
already
she's
moved on.
yeah, and she's yeah, exactly. I mean, this was only like you're talking what less than 3 months after their marriage. And it's like even more disgusting when you add to that Johnny had been injured.
Hmm.
He by her, thanks to her, like throwing a vodka bottle at him, he was seriously injured. He was seriously ill at one point as well, and she's running around with another man.
Possibly, yeah, possibly on his deathbed, and she's running around with another man. Like it's, I know that sounds a little dramatic, but you could certainly, an argument could be made. You could certainly look at it in that way, and in that scenario, she does not come across
As
very
a nice
well.
person. No, I mean, especially in her initial statement, she's trying to come across as this like poor victim, and she's almost coming across, it sounded like some sort of like, I don't know, like teenage fan fantasy of like nursing this poor guy back to health. Look at me, I'm the hero. He was like so ill because he was such a druggie and an alcoholic, and I'm running around, trying to get him help and interventions and doctors and everything. Yet on the other hand, there's irrefutable proof that she is having another man over to stay at her house. I mean,
Yeah.
she can't start arguing that Elon Musk was, I don't know, Johnny's new surgeon or something.
Oh,
um,
goodness.
although
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if she starts to argue that because she's made that many ridiculous statements. I really wouldn't put it past her to say something like that.
Yeah, and like these weren't even lunchtime visits. I mean, these were like late at night.
Yeah, to the extent where a neutral person, like a security guy in the apartment block, was actually saying, I'm not comfortable with this. This doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, it's we had obviously heard reports about this before, but to actually see it laid out there in yeah, on paper is very, very it's shocking and upsetting to read. Um,
Juliet says, I think the marks on her face were after Amber filed for divorce,
mhm.
and also the fingerprints on her throat. That was after May 27th, 2016.
That's correct. Yeah, and that's a really, really baffling thing for me. I mean, I personally, I don't like to speculate too much, but I personally believe that she has some, I don't know, issue of self-harm, maybe. I don't know, like she does seem to be the type of person, when a few $1 million is involved, she would punch herself in the face or give,
Well, like,
no,
yeah,
or
yeah.
oh,
It seems to her like the we you just have to look at that like in one of the first videos we did on this subject. That car makeover show. I forget the name of it, but we included
oh,
the clip as well. Like it's clear that violence and harming is normalized within that family. Like not only did
yeah,
she punch Johnny and her father, but her response was also when she heard her father was annoyed at whoever was carrying out the charade at the time, and her
mm,
response was, "Oh, he only hit him once."
yeah, like
So like
that's
that's clearly not only normalized, but it's expected in that family. So it's
mhm,
again, yeah, who knows? It seems to be just like a weird culture and a weird
weird family.
yeah weird
And
just
yeah,
view on violence and what its role is. So yeah,
yeah.
you could very well make the argument that's yeah. It's I don't really know what else to say to that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's just it as well. Just saying on Twitter here, Lumos said, but the real question is particularly when he was injured, I don't think that coincidence. Yeah, I don't like to speculate too much, but I mean I have seen a few people kind of throwing around very, very dark theories. I'm not I'm trying not to get down the route of accusing her of murder, but what I will say, or
What?
yeah, that seems to be a few fans are kind of speculating that could that actually be a possibility. I don't think she would. I
Oh.
don't know if she would outright set out to murder him or cause his death. I hope
Oof.
not. However, I think it was kind of at a point she didn't really give a fuck about him. She didn't give a
Yeah.
damn that he had MRSA. She probably just, you know, and like I said in my
Jeez.
video, had he had the worst case scenario happens, she would have probably had a complete field day. She would have probably it like doesn't even bear thinking about. She would have been going, "Oh yeah, yeah, he was such a drug addict. I was such a hero. I tried to save his life. He cut off his finger and you know died or whatever. And
Oof.
I'm such a widow. I'm such a survivor. I don't know. I'm going to become an advocate for I don't know widows. I don't know.
That
I
is a
guess
dark theory.
it is a very dark fear. But I don't think I like to hope she's not somebody who would intentionally set out to kill anybody.
I personally I don't
Don't think
think
so.
so. I
No,
don't think that I don't subscribe to that
no,
particular
me
theory,
neither.
and that's yeah, I won't say any more on that.
I do think, however, she is really fucking stupid. I mean, why, what made her think that people would not get suspicious that she was letting a multi-billionaire, what's he, a car computer guy, tycoon, whatever it is he does,
Yeah.
letting this well-known figure into her apartment at like 1 o'clock in the morning and he doesn't come back down. Like, did she actually think that people would be the security people would be that stupid? And like that actually says a lot about her that she thinks that little of I'm just plugging my phone in here. The battery's getting low. So charging should be. Guess we'll find out.
So, Cleodora, sorry, Juliet
Uh,
first says she is stupid. Cleodora says, up to this point, I think we all agree that Amber is a narcissistic sociopath. There are so many signs, and I wouldn't
mhm.
feel safe around her. Geez, neither would I.
No,
I
and
have, yeah, there are definitely signs. I recognize them. Some are subtle, some not so subtle, but yeah, yeah, I would not at all feel safe around a person like that that would exhibit such
oh,
signs.
By the post, that's right, Lumos. Yeah, the initial fight was about a post-nuptial agreement, but Lumos suggests it might have been about Elon Musk. It could have been a little bit of both. But yeah, I mean, going back to what I was saying, the way she was just kind of more or less clicking her fingers. I mean, all these security guys testify that she was up and down every day. You know, it sound they seem they a lot of them worked for a long time, and that throughout the whole duration Amber and Johnny lived there. But they only some of them never saw Johnny. Some only saw him once or twice. But they saw Amber nearly every day, and she was demanding all sorts of things. You know, I want a package. I want to leave my keys off. I want the it says a lot about her attitude towards working staff. You know, I mean, well, we all saw those tweets a while back about what was it, locking up your servants and driving home your illegal Mexican immigrant, whatever the horrible, horrible racist tweet she made was. Um, so it just to me it just says a lot as well that she actually does seem to think that security people, housekeepers are all stupid. That they're not
Mm.
going to discuss this or maybe go, this is not right. You know, they're not going to put two and two together and go, right, she's blatantly having an affair.
Yeah, Juliet, sorry, says, as long as nobody can prove it, we should not accuse her of attempted you know what. But Johnny did nearly lose his life due to her. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very dark theory that I do not subscribe to, and I think we have to be very careful about what we say in that regard, considering that this lawsuit is based on false and baseless allegations. She also says if you keep violently assaulting someone who has contracted MRSA, you probably are exactly helping them. You probably aren't exactly helping them to survive that dangerous. Oh yeah, yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
MRSA
yeah.
is yeah, it's dangerous.
And as
It's
well,
dangerous.
um, because he's a smoker, that smokers are more heavily affected by MRSA because, from what I understand, the blood circulation isn't as effective.
Hmm.
So that yeah, because your circulation is not good if you smoke. You're not going to get the what your body needs to fight the infection to your body in time, if that makes sense. But yeah, basically,
Yeah, yeah.
smokers are going to be worse affected by MRSA, and
Hmm.
also the location of that infection obviously began in the tips of his fingers, which is a part where there's not really that much blood gets there anyway. You know, there's not as many blood vessels or whatever.
All right.
So yeah, that was a quite a vulnerable place to get MRSA.
Yeah, for sure. Probably explains why he contracted it on three separate occasions. If it were
Probably, yeah.
perhaps some other part of his body, it would have been just the once. But
Yeah.
again, once is one time too many.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So he's extremely lucky that he didn't at least
Mhm.
lose a finger.
Oh God, yeah.
That's I can't, like, he was very lucky. I can't
Yeah.
overstate that enough. I mean, all you have to do,
Yeah.
if you want, like, just Google MRSA or Google staph infections,
Hmm.
and you'll see all about it.
That's not nice. And like, so if he injured his finger in March, like I was actually when I was editing the video I made tonight, having to look up like photographs, like his hand was like strapped up like 3, 4 months after the injury happened.
Hmm.
So yeah, he was. It's it's consistent with what he's saying that he had to undergo multiple surgeries and everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Moving on. Anybody else on live?
No, that's all for now on the YouTube chat. But I suppose, like, to
Uh,
kind of go back to, and I know we didn't include it on the original video, but I suppose yeah, she was just just her being sociopathic and just like looking out for herself. I mean, like we saw that she obviously defrauded the Australian government, and there's been
Mm.
other such reported instances as well. So yeah, for she's kind of not being entirely honest, just so she could get what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we shall move on. So yeah, Depp was in the Caribbean filming a movie. I wonder what movie that was. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you can tell us about when Mr. Musk went to Mr. Depp's penthouse when he was filming a movie? Saw him a couple of times, but that's, like I said, we have 147 units. I don't
Focus.
focus on just one.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember him going a couple of times up there. That's all I do remember. But it stood out in my mind that Mr. Musk was going to visit Mr. Depp's penthouse when he was not at home.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's just a continuation of the
What we were
yeah,
saying.
yeah, just what we were saying last. So um you mentioned that Mr. Depp was away filming a movie. I think you said in the Caribbean. I think so, yes. Was it Pirates of the Caribbean? That's correct.
They just asked that. That's
Oh my
really funny.
god! If I'd been a real sarcastic bastard and said no, he was filming Edward Scissorhands too. Of course, he was filming Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Ah dear. Cleoda, as for the attempted you know what, I was reading a forensics paper the other day stating that a glass bottle is used as a weapon 90% of the time. Jeez. Wow.
That's worrying considering he says that the first bottle sailed past his head.
Oof.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's.
Doesn't bear thinking about.
It really doesn't. And like I said, or like in my video, I know I went to school with a couple of kids who got like scarred for life, like their faces completely annihilated from getting, small, pint bottles smashed over across on their face.
Oh
So
yeah.
to have a full glass bottle flying at his head, a heavy glass bottle like that could have caused serious injury or worse.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
thankfully, yeah.
yeah, so there's a lot of testimony here about Elon Musk making
Mhm.
so it was hardly just like a passing, oh, he was over one time as a friend. No, this guy was around a lot.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
even after divorce was filed for, you know.
and should we talk? Yeah, I think we need to talk. Like, I think we've briefly mentioned just how weird it was that she turned up with bruises on her weeks after she got her temporary restraining order from Johnny Depp, and like weeks, months after he had left the country. And he was away for a good few months in 2016. He was in Europe for about like at least 4 months, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, but during that time, she all of a sudden turns up only then with cuts and bruises on her face and her neck. And I did see a few people saying, "Oh, Elon Musk must have done that to her," but I don't know. That would
Again,
be once again. That's kind of you can't go down these kind of dark. Can't start accusing somebody
no.
these of domestic violence. It's unfortunately that's on the part of the alleged victim to start making those accusations. So we'll not go down that route.
No, not at all. I think that's yeah. Again, there's nothing to suggest that or yeah,
Anyway,
absolutely. So let's see what else have we got. So this was yeah. So this is talking about the second set of or bleh, second set of officers arriving. We had cleaned up the kitchen. So is this Raquel
I believe
Pennington?
this is Josh,
Josh, sorry.
Raquel's partner.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So they said the second time sorry, by the time the second set of officers arrived, we had cleaned up the kitchen and cleaned up a bit and cleaned up, yeah. Was he singing this? We cleaned up the kitchen and cleaned up a bit and cleaned up, yeah. By the time the first officers arrived, had you cleaned any damage? I don't think so. Isn't it a fact that you went with the officers to Penthouse 5? No. It's your testimony that they never went to Penthouse 5. So, okay, so yeah, there's that discrepancy that when the first
Yeah.
set of officers come along, they didn't see any sign of damage, and your fellow Josh is now trying to say when before the second set came along, they cleaned up the kitchen a bit. Now,
Yeah.
why would they do that? Why would they like contaminate or like modify a potential crime scene? Like, oh
Yeah.
no, the police are coming, better clean up.
And that's complete nonsense as well, seeing as they had at this point called Amber's lawyer. Like, she would be a pretty shit lawyer to say, "Oh no, yeah, oh, you've just been beaten by your husband and the police are coming. Okay, well, totally clean it up and like leave no evidence out."
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me unless there's
Yeah,
something
why would
I'm
you do
missing.
that?
Yeah,
Um, and also Penthouse 5. Now this is where I think Brian has gone offline, but this is where we need Brian.
this is the bead factory, for want of a better term,
Yeah, so
or is it?
he's saying that isn't it a factory under the officer's penthouse of
Oh wait,
first set of evidence? Okay, so Senator Teshi never went to Penthouse 5 with either of the officers. Okay, so yeah, okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, I think that was consistent with what the police officer said that yeah, Josh stayed in the corridor and he was very reluctant to answer questions, which is probably you can understand why. Like they were asking, "Oh, where's this woman's husband gone? So can you describe him?" Well, he looks a bit like Captain Jack Sparrow. You know? And he was just saying, "No, no, I can't. You don't understand why I can't. I can't. I can't." And I can, yeah, you could objectively say he was just afraid to get a well-known, famous person, um, yeah, in trouble. Didn't want to get involved. Maybe I don't know, but
well, if he's cleaning up the crime scene, he's already involved.
well, that's very true.
Sorry, cleaning up the potential crime scene, and
Yeah,
like I don't get it. It's like, yeah, why would he not want to get him in trouble? So on one hand, you've got IO all the way over in New York
hmm
phoning up the police because because he is so concerned
hmm
that, and then you've got Josh who's actually in the building
yeah,
who presumably didn't phone any police and
hmm
felt that no, they don't need to see any of this, or
JW.
like I don't know, I just don't, it just doesn't seem that up. And I pointed it out in the first video as well. It's like there were people obviously in that building there. Why
Yeah,
didn't one of them call the cops? Why is the person on the other coast in a different bloody time zone the one to ring the police? Not in a split second, as he had stated in his deposition or in that refinery column, but 2.5 hours afterwards.
yeah, and that's the thing as well, because that kind of flies in the face of what Isaac, the neighbor, saw, because he said that he saw spilt wine on the corridor in the time which we believe was in between the first cops came and the second cops came. So if they cleaned up, what did the second set of cops see that wine spill?
I don't know. It's all very confusing to me. It's like it's very contradictory,
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
depending on
yeah,
who you and whose deposition you go by. Because wasn't it part of Amber's deposition that when the first set of cops came, the place was a mess. But when questioned, she was like, "Oh, I don't know what they saw or what they didn't see." It's like, okay, surely they would have seen what everyone else present would have seen,
yeah,
including
cops don't have
Amber.
like some sort of glass, filter in their eyeballs. I mean,
Yeah,
she was so willingly able to describe exactly what Johnny allegedly did in the apartment. Oh, he swung a bottle this way, he kicked a fruit bowl that way, he shuffled up a
uh,
painting on the wall, he did this, he
Johnny
did
doesn't like fruit bowls. That's for
that.
sure.
Oh god. Yeah, so I mean, she's able to describe all that, so therefore, on that basis, would you not be able to say, oh, well, I guess the cops saw broken glass, they saw knocked over fruit bowls, they saw paintings thrown askew. You know what I mean? They saw some beads. It's kind of, yeah, it's quite easy to rhyme that off, right?
Yeah, Juliet says, because none of them wanted to give up their comfortable living situation by turning against Johnny, grifters. Yeah, that's one thing I
Yeah,
think that needs to be driven home is that they were living there rent free
yeah,
in
for sure.
LA.
Hmm.
I mean, my goodness, yeah. If you are lucky enough to fall into that kind of situation, I mean, my God, if I was given the offer tomorrow, hey, do you want to live in downtown LA or wherever in LA rent free? I'd be like, yep,
Yeah,
I'll pay
exactly.
I'll pay my own airfare, don't worry. But that's yeah, that's I think that's very important as well. And obviously Johnny didn't know that half of them were there. He definitely had no. I don't think he was aware of the bead making business.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
Uh, Theodora says Amber was probably told by her lawyer not to make a false report to the police. That's possible as well. Like, we don't really know. We can only speculate. We don't really know what Amber's lawyer told her. She could very well have flown in the face of her lawyer's advice. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I mean, she doesn't really seem to be the kind of person who obeys or listens to advice.
Or yeah, or laws or anything. Like, it just, she seems to look at the situation and like, okay, how can I manipulate this to get what I want? And as mentioned
Yeah.
earlier on, that is the hallmark of a narcissist or a sociopath. It's the end result is all that matters, that they get what they want. Everything else, any other collateral damage, is irrelevant. And I'm just speaking at this point in generalities, not just stuff about Amber, but that's what, in my experience in dealing with similar people in the past, those are the traits that I have seen, and those are the traits that
Hmm.
become very obvious to me now. Because like
Yeah.
you, not to get too personal, but like we've kind of met people previously, and this, and like maybe an hour later, like I've turned to you and said, yeah, I don't have a good feeling about this person, and lo and behold, like within weeks, that person is no longer around. So it's like like once you see
No,
these
no
traits,
longer
you
around
can't
it.
unsee them.
We're not bumping them off or anything.
Oh God, no, no, we didn't. No, we didn't do that. As like he was no longer in our circle of friends.
Oh God, yeah, yeah, exactly.
I think that's sorry. That's the yeah. All of her witnesses were living or had lived at some point in the Eastern Columbia building.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So that, yeah, go
So
figure.
there was a bit of a conflict there, I imagine. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's actually so that's more that's kind of more brings a bit more logic to it than what the depositions would suggest. Because when you read the
Mhm.
depositions, you're just all over the place and you're just trying to figure out. But yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
at the same time they were like, well, hold on, we don't get anything out of it. If anything, we will get kicked out.
Hmm. Okay,
So
so
why we
Central, my phone battery is about to die, so I'm gonna go off Twitter or Periscope, whatever you call this. But if you guys want to hop onto YouTube, the link is on my page. Hi, Monique. S- what's our live thing called? Tiny
it's
URL.
yes, tinyurl.com/dollars to donuts live.
All right. It sounds like a really extravagant event. It's Dollars to Donuts live. It's
Yeah.
not that, it's just us, yeah, waffling on. But thanks everybody, and yeah, laters.
Mm.
Ah, stop broadcast. Yeah. Okay, laters. Okay. Yeah, so where are we now? May 22nd.
Yes, so it looks like 10:56. Do you recognize the person who was on the elevator? Looks like Amber. Where is Miss Herd going? The mezzanine level. She turned right, which would be the mailroom and or access to the parking structure. She didn't appear to be wearing shoes, which is typical for her to walk around. Was it typical for her to walk around the building without shoes on? Not that I recall. However, I do know that a lot of residents do walk around the building without shoes on. As male guess. So, is this more Musk description?
So let me see, let me read through this. Yeah, so I believe this particular witness was not entirely sure who
Uh,
Amber was with, because it was one of them who described a man in the elevator with Amber, and he was blatantly covering. He was wearing a hat, and he was basically covering his face.
aha.
And they know enough to know that it wasn't Johnny.
Yeah, this was May 22nd. This was the
Yeah,
date he reportedly had left. So, wow, the very day. She does not waste time, does she?
she doesn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and the person was purposely keeping his head down, so he was obviously not very keen for people to know that he was there.
Yeah, I would, I would bet dollars to donuts that that was Elon Musk.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like, well, obviously, people have speculated in Amber's her filing. She submitted a text as her evidence that was kind of saying, "Oh, you know, at a tough night, Johnny, you know, came over to talk. He went crazy at me through a bot or phone, whatever it was." The cops came, and the conversation she kind of shows as part of her evidence. We've all seen it, some text messages,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, not once. It doesn't very tellingly does not have a name for that person,
Mm-hmm.
which
Interesting.
yeah, exactly. And this person said, "Oh, do you want me to come over?" Wonder who
Oh
that could
yes.
be.
Yes. Yeah.
People
Well, that's right.
we
Yeah,
don't
she
know.
was saying she had a bad day, and she was saying, "Oh, Johnny came in and started beating me up." Wasn't that it? So I was one of the
Yeah.
messages to that person. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I think
And
the terminology is
again,
he went sideways.
that's the one. Yeah. And that's you know what? That's kind of like a building a narrative to like appeal to would be knights in shining armor and saying, "Oh yeah, my current boyfriend or my old boyfriend hit me,"
Hmm.
and you know, obviously the new targets, for want of a better term, be like, "Oh, I'll come in, I'll save you." So like so that
Yeah.
person thinks they're swooping in and they're saving this girl from an abusive relationship when truly that's not the case at all. That's just building a
No.
narrative, and that's again, and once again, it's in a certain way, it's kind of like maybe she's like good at figuring people out and she knows how to appeal to those people. Maybe Elon Musk is that type
Hmm.
of person, and she's creating like narratives so he can come in and basically go be do his Mighty Mouse routine and save the day. Whereas perhaps at this during the Rum Diaries filming, I'm sure she probably constructed a version of herself that was appealing to Johnny.
Without a doubt, I mean, for all we know, she could have been saying to Johnny, "Oh, this is awful. You know, my ex-wife. You know, when she had me arrested. It was so terrible, and all I did
Hmm.
was hug her too tight, and they had me arrested for domestic violence. Blah 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 blah. Woe is me. Oh my goodness, I'm
So
you know,
misunderstood.
yeah, exactly, and
And that's I could see that's something that Johnny being
be attracted to.
attracted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
again,
maybe.
another
Yeah, maybe.
hallmark of a narcissist slash sociopath is that you create this version of yourself that appeals to your targets. It's
Hmm.
almost like a spider drawing
Yep.
a fly into its web.
Absolutely. Is that all the pages we have on the slide?
No, there is this other one here. Oh, this one's not Mr. Spectre. Over 100. Okay, that's actually not very good. It's not very clear what that says, I'm afraid. Do you have any idea how many calls related in your 7 or 8 years of work in Los Angeles? Oh, so this was a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Witness. I honestly wouldn't be able to get the number. Many over 100. Yes. Do you recall the
Okay.
dispatch call? Yes, I do.
So that was the first cop the main cop in the first set of cops that attended that night of the alleged phone throwing. And she was a very experienced cop dealing with detecting domestic violence, and she has very detailed, very compelling evidence. The second cop, he is also he his testimony pretty much correlates hers, but he's not as maybe as quite as compelling. He doesn't. There's some parts he doesn't quite remember. Well, that's fine. There's nothing. I mean, for them, it was probably quite an ordinary call out and very incident free. So they probably didn't really remember specifics of it.
Yeah.
Um, but they did say that they took note that there was that they did not see anything out of order, no glass, no broken, bottles, no sign of vandalism, no upset fruit bowls. um, so yeah, I mean, she did make for a very interesting witness. Melissa Sayans, yeah, I probably just totally butchered her name, but she did make for a very good witness.
Mhm.
And of
Hi,
course,
Lumos. Lumos SK has joined on YouTube
hey,
chat. Hello.
hi,
I believe I follow that person as well. I think that person has Grindelwald as their profile pic.
right. I think I do too. Hi. um, yeah. So like she made for a very very good witness, and like anybody, the second cop, he was less experienced. He had just left police academy, and he had just been in the job training for a few months, but that doesn't matter. Like he's still, he's just as well trained as Melissa. And what they do in the United States, and I believe most police forces around the world, is they shadow. As soon as you leave police academy, you shadow a more experienced officer for a few months or a year,
Hmm.
and you work from there. But even regardless, cops make very compelling witnesses.
Yes, absolutely. They're yeah. That's what yeah what they would say would hold a lot of weight. And as we mentioned earlier on, I mean, like if anyone who's trying to peddle the narrative that Johnny is paying off the entire LAPD, that's I mean that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I know the LAPD at one point had a reputation for being corrupt, but I think that's a bridge too far.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just complete and utter nonsense. I mean, yeah, like an entire police force.
Yeah, I know. Well,
It's just yeah.
so that is the end of our slides. So I'm just going to stop sharing the screen. So we're back to
Our
us
faces.
now. All right. So yeah, those were like just some of the screenshots that kind of stood out to us. Again, it's like a 300 plus page document. So there's if we were to, if we were to go through every one, we'd be here all night and it would be probably extremely
Really
boring
boring.
after a
Yeah,
while.
I know, but so yeah, that's I suppose that's everything. I mean, it was definitely he is a very strong case. I really do believe, and
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that like objectively speaking. I do think he has a very strong case. Like I said earlier, I think things like little snippets of Amber and Raquel's deposition, him not showing the full one, that might be something her lawyers might try and make a deal out of in their response. I don't know, but that's just something I predict possibly could happen. But
Hmm.
apart from that, like yeah, collaborating evidence from well-respected civil servants and members of the public.
Yeah,
And
very neutral third parties who wouldn't
yeah,
have anything to gain by lying.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, especially those guys who work, most of those guys still work for the building, the apartment block. Johnny and Amber, they don't live there anymore. They haven't lived there in years, so those guys have no reason to lie. Um, yeah, they have no reason to lie, and oh gosh, sorry, completely drew a blank there.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah, there's no reason to lie at all. I mean, it's
yeah.
like they're going to have a job there regardless,
Mm.
and it would be very silly like if either side did try to pay off whether it be Amber's side or Johnny's side because like stuff like that will come to light and would bite them in the ass later down the road.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so yeah, I agree. There's definitely no need to
Yeah.
lie. And in terms of, I guess,
That was
this, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That was what I was gonna say. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I mean, if it turned out that those, it wouldn't be good for the for other residents in the building. They'd probably have a lot of people moving out of that building if it's transpired that they were basically all lying for one former residence. Because those security guys are being employed to look after the residents, the few hundred people who live in that building.
Yeah.
So it would be absolute career suicide for them to lie. It
Yeah,
really is
absolutely.
not in the least in their best interest, not in the slightest to lie. Even if it was President Trump, why am I even calling him president? Even if it was Donald Trump they were working for, it still wouldn't be in their best interest to lie just to protect one former resident.
Yeah. Cleota says her text message to him after filing for a divorce is very telling. Yes.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, we haven't even got into that, but yeah, that's very
Yes.
telling. I'd agree with that.
Where she more or less admitted that she was told, but that she just included the allegations of domestic violence because she wasn't sure what to do, or like maybe she was acting under advice from her lawyer. I don't know, but yeah, it's basically implicated that they were all BS.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I mean, even at that, even if, yeah, I could see her maybe starting to argue that she sent that text message because she was so afraid of him that she wanted to sweeten him up in case he came back to kill her or some shit like that. That's what I could probably see her. I would bet any money that she will respond with that.
Yeah, I guess in terms of like the responses, like neither side's going to show their entire hand, like because if it does go to court, they still need kind of like an ace up their sleeve. I mean, there's no point in either side giving their entire argument in these responses beforehand because it gives
Mhm.
the other side a chance to draw up a defense against it.
Yeah.
So I imagine they'll just give stuff that's pertinent to what's mentioned. So even in Amber's one, there'll probably be some bits and pieces missing, because if and when this does go to courts, like that's when they're just going to let loose. That's when they're going to bring out the heavy artillery, and that's gonna, I think, like if this is just, I think what's coming out in the responses is just the tip of the iceberg.
Hmm.
And if this does go to court, that's when like the real heavy stuff's going to come out.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Nelly, don't look so pissed off.
Oh,
um, but yeah, so yeah, it definitely. Well, sorry, cat, but my face. Sorry.
oh, yeah.
Oh, it's kind of she's stuck
Lovely.
there on my arm. Um, good girl. Yeah, so I do think the text message was very telling, but I think she probably will talk her way around that, make some bullshit statements up.
Hmm. I guess we'll find out. So as
Yes.
mentioned before, the response is due tomorrow, I believe, and
Uh-huh.
we'll definitely be giving our thoughts on that as well. Not long afterwards, kind of necessitating this live video, as we said at the start, so that the exhibits that have now become publicly available, so that this didn't fall through the cracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if anybody watching likes the idea of us doing more live videos, because I do find myself personally I can't watch too many live videos for too long. But if you
Yeah, we
like
tried to
them,
keep this
please let me
short.
know. It didn't fuck. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, like 10 minutes. Let's talk for 10 minutes. Did it
that's
fucking?
always the way, though. That's always the way. But we definitely got some good engagement on the YouTube chat, anyway. So I'd say this has gone pretty well,
Yeah,
all things
cool.
considered. I think we've talked about everything we wanted to at this point.
Hmm.
So I guess will we sign off and
Yeah.
give these people their evening back?
Yeah, everybody, thank you very much for listening. Thank you so much for the retweets and the likes. It yeah makes it
Yeah,
really
thanks for
appreciate.
tuning in.
And yeah, I'll be on Twitter real soon, as soon as my phone charges up.
yeah, so just yeah, so feel free to share this video, like it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do, because
Hmm.
yeah, if you know anyone who'd be interested in the stuff we kind of talk about, just share it, because that kind of helps get our name out there.
Well, no,
And
no,
yeah,
not about getting our name out there, but yeah.
of course, well, of course, yeah, yeah. Sorry, but
Y'all know
well,
what I mean.
the more people that know of us, the more we can get our thoughts
Hmm.
and stuff out there. Like, we're not in this for any like fame or anything.
No,
Sorry
no,
if that came
we do because
across the
it's
wrong way.
therapeutic. I do find like the
Absolutely.
editing and you know the process of editing videos and everything very therapeutic. And I do at a time where I feel quite helpless. It is nice to kind of have feel like I'm being productive. So
Yeah, and as minor as it may be, and maybe a drop in the ocean, at least we feel like we're doing something. I mean,
yeah,
this really all started over leaving Neverland, and we're not going to go too deep into that because we've made videos on that,
yeah.
and we like just kind of rolled on from there.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so we're on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are in the description below if you want to give us a follow as well. So once again, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll call it a night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.